My father, Nathaniel Black, was a hero of the American Revolution who fought with the Colonial Army at Bunker Hill, Trenton, and Saratoga.
Hold the line!
And he was there at the end, at Yorktown. But his story begins 6 years earlier, in his village, where he had grown up. The 6 nations of the Confederacy split apart as the fires of the American Revolution spread northward. Nathaniel's world would never be the same.
So the Seneca have joined with the Mohawk.
Yes. Both tribes think the British will protect them.
This is a white man's war. We must counsel the Seneca and the Mohawk to stay out of the fight.
Uncle Canyon, if we don't choose a side, one will be chosen for us. We must defend our homes.
It's not a matter for young warriors to decide.
But Mother...
No more, Nathaniel. You will accompany me to the villages of our brothers. You will be silent. You will learn.
What has happened here?
Nathaniel, men with guns came. They took many.
Where is my mother?
Colonel Kuechler, here's the captives the Mohawk took from the Oneida village.
Excellent. How many warriors can your village muster?
You will know when they come for your head.
Do not mistake me for some soft Englishman. You may know how to make war against your own kind, but you face Hessians now. My orders are to cleanse these woods of rebels. If your people get in my way, they die. Put her in the pen.
The 6 Nations Confederacy was broken. Some joined the British, while others helped the colonial cause. My father left his village. Whether he was driven by a desire to live up to his father John's legacy, or simply wanted to learn more about the outside world, I never knew. When the call went out for militia volunteers, Nathaniel and other young men from the frontier headed south to Boston and into the pages of history.
What's going on here?
Are you...
We are militia. I'm Captain Nathaniel Black. Where are we needed?
The British have landed near Breed's Hill. Follow me.
In the early days of the Revolution, the Americans were always on the defensive. Pushed out of Boston, out of New York, George Washington took command of the Colonials, determined to make a real army out of ragtag militiamen. But even Washington's leadership could not stop the British tide. By December of 1776, the Americans had been pushed back across the Delaware to McConkey's Ferry. It was there my father's militia joined them.
General Washington, I'm honored to meet you, sir.
The honor is mine, Captain Black. Your father John was a good man.
I would be pleased to have you think the same of me one day. I'm sorry we missed the fight in New York.
Perhaps you would have changed the outcome. But you're here in time to help us turn the tide. The Hessian garrison has settled into their winter quarters in Trenton.
Hessians?
Yes, they're camped right across the Delaware.
I've got unfinished business with the Hessians.
Good. Let's give them a holiday to remember.
After the battles at Trenton and Princeton, Nathaniel's militia was sent north, into the wilderness along the Canadian border. His men skirmished with the British up and down the Hudson Valley throughout the spring. But the fighting was indecisive until late summer near Saratoga.
There's the British column. They're headed to Albany.
Captain, if they get that far, they'll cut our army in two.
We can't let that happen. Send scouts to mark their route. We'll whittle them down and force them to fight here.
Saratoga was a great victory, but there were many trials ahead. The British and the Hessians pushed back hard, defeating the Americans at Brandywine and Germantown. In December, the Colonial Army retreated to its winter camp at Valley Forge and settled in to wait for spring.
General, we can't sit here all winter. The men will starve.
We have no choice. We must reorganize and refit. Soon, we'll face Cornwallis's army head-on. The new recruits need training.
They need food more than training. I can find my way through enemy lines and bring back the supplies we need.
An excellent plan, but a dangerous one, Captain. Be careful.
You sent for me, General.
My scouts report Colonel Kuechler's Hessians are moving on our north flank. Intercept him before he cuts our supply line.
Thank you, General.
But Nathaniel, this war, this revolution, it's larger than any one man. I know Kuechler has wronged you personally, but your father's desire for revenge led him to his death.
General Washington, my father gave his life to protect the colonies. I would do the same, without hesitation.
Your enlistment is up next month. You could go back home to your family.
My place is with the Colonial Army until our nation is free. I'll fight at your side until the war is won.
After Colonel Kuechler's death, Nathaniel kept his promise to Washington. He fought at Charleston, Camden, and Kings Mountain. And he was there at the end at Yorktown in 1781, face to face with the Redcoats for the last time. After the war, my father went home. He would never be a wealthy man, for he'd spent his considerable inheritance outfitting his militia volunteers and supplying the troops at Valley Forge. He was a patriot, a good father, and one of the best men my family ever produced. If Nathaniel had a flaw, it was that his legacy was a difficult one to live up to. Especially for his grandson, my only child, John Black.